Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are here on a Friday evening, and we're going to be talking about our core beliefs. Now, for those of you who weren't here at the lunchtime broadcast, this is a continuation of a broadcast that I did at lunchtime, and you can pick that up and hit sort of watch the replay of it because it sort of sets up a lot of the realities about our core beliefs. And we're going to continue because we gave some examples during the lunchtime broadcast, and I'm going to be doing some different ones for this evening. So first of all, a very good evening to you all, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you are and what time of the day you listen to stuff. Hi there, Jody. And I just wanted to start by saying it's an incredible time when we can look at things like this. Hi, Lolo. Good to see you. When we can look at these things and actually realize, hey, what we think about actually does affect our lives. What we believe about ourselves actually does affect our lives, either positively or negatively. And so I gave a quote at lunchtime, and I'd like to give it again because I think it really does get to the essence of it all. And the quote comes from um, Iqbal Osman, and he said, "What you believe is true." You know, what happens is we make things true for ourselves. And the most peculiar thing is that when we do that, we actually get ourselves very stuck and don't move forward. I found another really interesting quote today, and it said, "Life has a tendency to provide a person with what they need in order to grow. Our beliefs, what we value in life, provide a roadmap for the type of life that we experience. A period of personal unhappiness reveals that our values are misplaced and that we're on the wrong path. Unless a person changes their values and ideas, they will continue to experience discontentment." Hi, Isabel. So I want you to think about that. If you've got, oh, I'm going to sneeze. If you've got a lot of drama going on in your life, the chances are you're probably doing things that are against your basic beliefs. And I don't know anybody that really likes a lot of drama in their life. And so we're going to be talking around these things a bit this evening. I first of all want to make sure that I give credit to Charlotte. Our Charlotte wrote to me and talked to me about some of these um, cognitive therapy, cognitive behavior stuff. You know, my problem was, how do I actually tell this story but make it so that people can understand it? And I'm hoping that by what I did at lunchtime and today, it'll make it easier to understand without all the gobbledygook jargon and all the labels that they attach to these things. And that's really my challenge, is how to take something that is a little bit complicated and try and get it into English for those of us who like to just, well, what does that mean? So I'm going to be talking about different beliefs, and all I want you to do is to sort of imagine yourself in this situation. So the first one this evening, and by the way, we did a whole series of these at lunchtime. The first one this evening is, if your core belief is, "I am useless with money." Any of you feel that way to start with? I mean, any of you have that belief already? And if not, just, you know, try for a moment to think about, if you believe that you are useless with money, what do you think the consequence of that is? Do you think that you would be in debt, for example? Do you think that if you had a belief that you are useless with money, do you think you spend, you know, a good amount of time studying financial things or learning how to look after your stuff better? Yeah, Jody's saying part of it would be reckless spending, right? That, you know, if you believe that you're useless with money, you create that. You know, you just go out and impulse buy all over the place, right? To make you feel better, right, Jody? Ever done that? Um, so And by the way, do you live within your means? If you have labeled yourself, you know, this core belief that I'm useless with money, does it also give you the excuse to spend it badly? You see, that's what I'm beginning to realize, is that really we have these core beliefs because they justify our excuses. Or is it our excuses justify the core belief? I'm not quite sure. We had a wonderful example of lunchtime of somebody saying that they wanted something different, but not being prepared to take a step in the right direction, or just not wanting to go that next step. And so to me, part of this is have a really good look at what's going on in your life and ask yourself, what is my core belief around this? And it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Does that make any sense? You see, let's now shift for a moment and imagine that your core belief is, I am actually really good with my money. Do you think people who can say that to themselves are necessarily in a lot of debt? Or what do you think? Do you think that they are likely to own their own home, however humble that may be? Do you think that people who believe that they are good with money, do you think that they have an idea of how to look after their money? Some of the most interesting reality that you hear about is the richer people are, and that normally the more frugal they are with their money. They really hold on to their money quite well. Now they spend a lot, but not in the way that you may think. They may spend money to invest more, but they don't necessarily spend it on a day-to-day basis. It's very interesting. So do you think that people who believe that they are good with money, do you think that they spend time either with an accountant that they pay to look after their money or figures, or do you think that they actually studied the art of looking after their money? How many of you here believe that you are good with money? Is anybody here that believes that has that core belief? It's really funny because I didn't think that I was particularly good with money. And yet, funnily enough, when I look at it, the very, the what things I have done with the little money that I had in my life appear to have be doing quite well now. Yes, Jodi's saying, although she might not have been in the past, she really believes that she is now. Jodi, can you discuss some of the things that give you that belief? Just so people can understand, it may not be that you're rich and famous, right? But literally on a day-to-day basis, are you living within your means would be one question I would ask, because people who are good with money know how to live within their means. That means how many of you have more than one credit card, for example? One of the things that quite surprised me when I went to buy this house originally was one of the questions the mortgage broker asked me was, how many credit cards do you have? And I said, what? She said, how many credit cards do you have? And I said, just the one. And she said, one? And I said, yeah, my Visa. And she said, that's it? No other store cards or what? No. Why would I need another card? I have a Visa. That was my answer to her. And she said, well, they don't consider that as debt. I said, what? And for some reason, they don't consider one card as debt. By the way, the debt that I have is my house today. So when I look at it, how good am I with money? My only debt is what's left on my mortgage. And that is an equity debt. So, I guess I'm better with money than I thought. So, it's just like, and when I sell the house, I will hopefully be even better with my money. I'll get to spend some of it. That'll be fun. So if you understand what I'm saying, that if you have a core belief that you're pretty good with money, you probably balance your checkbook if you still use a checkbook. You probably check your accounts. Okay, Jodi, that's personal information. Do you want me to say that publicly? I just want to double check before I read that out because that's really interesting. Because that is somebody. All right, so listen to what Jodi said. Our savings were wiped out due to a medical debt. And when I became disabled, I learned very quickly to live within a modest budget and do as much with it as possible. And I think That is the difference, right? You remember we were talking about that today, and about the one is Disneyland and the other is reality. And if you have learned, you used to have lots of disposable income and now you don't. And so to me, this is like if you've learned to live within the disability payments that you get, that is an awesome ability, because that's not very much on anybody's scale. And most of that probably is taken up by housing and heat and stuff like that. So the fact that, can you give us some guidelines, Jody, maybe of what you have learned that make that possible? Because to come down from being two people who earned individual salaries to now being on disability, and that is a huge shift. And Lionel had to stop work, or chose to stop work, so that he could look after you. So that's a huge family shift. Right. And Jody is confirming that's very true. The basic take up the majority of your money. So may I ask, Jody, how much do you allow yourselves for groceries? Can you give us a ballpark figure? Because my sense is you probably have a really realistic idea of what it costs to feed yourself. And by the way, you don't need to answer this if you don't want to. I want to make sure people get a benchmark of what it's possible to do, because I know you eat nicely. When I say nicely, you have balanced meals, you have, fun day Sundays, as I do. Right. So your total, is that total, Jody? For anything that you get from the supermarket or whatever? I just want to make sure I've got this right before I say it. So everybody think about what you spend a month on food. Okay, and Jody says she spends $300 a month to feed two of them. All right, so Isabel's saying the grocery takes up most of my budget. It's so expensive. Do you know, the funny thing is, Isabel, that some people would agree with you. And Jody is saying that 300 includes her health and beauty items as well. That includes your medications? Or is that a separate budget? I just want to make sure we've got the facts right here. Because I want to tell you, I could spend that a week. And some of you probably relate to that. Hi there, Nolene. All right, so Jody is saying that she has learned to control her money enough, and her eating and her needs and wants enough, to get her grocery budget down to $300 a month to feed two people. Now, how much food do you throw away? And that includes things like shampoo, toothpaste, and vitamins. Okay. And you take quite a few vitamins, so that's good to hear. Hi there, Nana. So do you understand, Jody, that what you are is you're a benchmark, because you have proven to yourself that it's possible to do. I know you have interesting meals because we talk about them. You also have healthy meals. How often do you eat meat? You don't throw away anything, all right? So whatever's left over goes into a soup or something. Or in my case, I keep some of my leftovers and I will keep them in the freezer until I next do a mince pie or something, and then I will liquidize it all and put it in there to bulk up a mince pie or something. So I agree with you. I'm also now beginning. Can I give you guys an example? Because I am learning to eat better and also to be more frugal. Nana's saying her husband Rick eats all the leftovers. Yeah, I was, for example, cooking cauliflower the other day, and the stalk part of it that I don't know if you guys eat that or not, but I normally cut that off and throw it away. And I decided, that's a really waste of really good, I'm sure, good nutrition. I'm pretty sure the stalk, of a broccoli or of cauliflower is nutritious. And what I did is I cut mine up and I froze it. And then what I found I did was I had sort of all sorts of leftover bits like that, and I put them all in a casserole dish and made a a sort of a cheese sauce to go over the top of it, and I grilled it. And I got news for you. It was so good. All right. So Jodi's saying that within her budget, she gets to eat meat once or twice a week. You shop the sales. You just eat less meat and bulk up the plate with vegetables, which is much more healthy. Now, again, for those of us who think this is doable, I cook once a week, basically. Right? I do a roast once a week or a major meal once a week. And I've got enough left over from doing that I can make 3 or 4 meals extra out of it after I've fed myself and Yvonne and Wade and everybody. All right. So I always, take what's left and I proportion it out and I put it into meal plans. And so therefore I'm only cooking meat once a week. And then I will put what's left over into a 1 cup mason jar. And I've got news for you. That is what I eat, is 1 cup as a meal. That's what I've learned to do now. And it's really quite amazing how that has changed my thinking. For example, today I was quite busy doing stuff. And what I did was I thought, oh, I'm hungry. What have I got? And I looked and I've got in one cup jars, mason jars, I've got shepherd's pie, I've got pork, I've got beef dinner, I've got macaroni cheese. I've got this incredible arrangement of 1 cup dinners that all I need to do is take them out of the freezer, put them into my toaster oven and warm them up. And it's just like, and I only cooked once a week to do that. Does that make sense to everybody? So it's possible. And so I spend maybe $20 a week on meat. That is by the way, when I buy bacon, I buy a big pack of bacon and I cook the whole lot. And once it's cooked and cooled, I freeze it so that I can do it. All right. So Nana's saying that they eat off a sandwich plate, not a dinner plate. That is so that they don't load up as much. Absolutely true. A very good idea. And as I've said, I put mine, I've been after Beth's training, I'm putting, stuff into mason jars because I know that's a good portion. Or I'm putting them into, freezer trays where I know that's not too much, a small portion of meat, large portion, as Jodi was saying, of vegetables. Now, Jodi, fresh vegetables and fruits are very expensive. So how do you do that? Beth is saying she's taught herself to eat out of a coffee cup. Now, I got a giant coffee cup because it's small. I buy those little glasses from the dollar store, and I will put my treats in there. What used to be one sitting, I can now get 3 or 4 treat snacks out of. So all these things not only are better for you, but they actually help you save an awful lot of money. So I really want to tell you that it is possible to do. So if you're doing things like that, if you have learned to live within your means, I know people laugh at me because I will save money, as you probably saw in the recent video that I put out when I was doing 4 tips from my bathroom. I will save money on buying things like wet wipes. I won't throw them away. I wash them and reuse them. I will save money there just so I can still shop on Amazon. Does that make sense? I've learned that I can save here and still get here. And so, it's just about you learn what's important to you. And it doesn't mean that you can't have nice things. It means sometimes, maybe you go and get them at the dollar store because you can get really good stuff there. I was quite amazed. And maybe you get secondhand good clothes rather than brand new ones. So I found that people who are on a limited budget, hi, Nyasha, people who are on a limited budget, some of them are brilliant at looking after their money. How many of you, can understand what I'm getting at here? But if you have a mindset that is, I am bad with money, you probably impulse buy, as Jodi was saying, you probably have a lot of debt, and you probably don't know how to balance your, or don't even bother to balance your accounts every month. Jody's saying frozen vegetables and fresh when it makes sense on sale. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it, Jody, that frozen vegetables, they're saying today, I was seeing something in the last 24 hours that I was looking at something, and some nutritionist was saying that frozen vegetables today are as healthy for you as fresh. I was quite surprised. All right, so Beth's saying her first priority on any bill is food. The first thing we get is food. If there's anything left, we get other things. Excellent. Right, and Nana's saying, depending on where you shop, you can get clothes cheaper on sale than you can in the secondhand store. I quite agree. Yes, Beth is learning. She says she's catching up from starving herself. So food bill, so to you now, food is very important to you, right? That you get the right food and that you leave enough money to make sure that you do that. Yes, Jody's saying she loves fresh broccoli. I love fresh asparagus. There's something about asparagus and butter that I really love, so I will do that. And so there's certain things that I balance out. But again, I was talking about this a little bit at lunchtime. One of the ways I save money on vegetables is I buy my vegetables for the week, and I will cook it at one time. I will cook all the vegetables that I want for the week at one time, and then I will have it portioned out for during the week. Nana, what do you eat raw? Asparagus? Yeah, everybody has their thing, hey? Isn't it wonderful? All right, so do you get the idea? Depending on your mindset, I look at it and I go, Beth's saying she gets Costco-sized veggies, that's bulk stuff, so that it's cheaper and she can freeze them. Yeah, so I'm not allowed in Costco because I'm an impulse buyer. So I totally get that. But what I do is I actually I order online because that's cheaper for me than going into the store because I am inclined to be an impulse buyer. So what I do is I look on the store and I go, okay, I'm allowed one roast or one chunk of meat, whatever it is. What do I want to have this week? And I quite agree. Hi there, Tyler. I quite agree. I look for something that's on sale. If the beef is on sale this week, maybe steaks are on sale. Okay, that we're going to have steak this week. If this week they've got pork tenderloins on sale, guess what? That's what we'll be getting. And then I also buy, what vegetables do I want to eat? And I normally think about colors, right? I want green, so maybe it's broccoli and green or green beans or something. I want the yellows, so I will probably get not marrow, what do you call it here? Squash. I'll get a squash or something like that, that's yellow. And then I will also go for the peppers. I get one color pepper. By the way, just a trick for those of you who do that. If you cut your pepper, if this is your pepper and you cut it, leaving the bit at the bottom, into four, just cut the edges off and leaving the seeds and everything in the center. And just put it between pieces of paper towel. It actually lasts much longer. I don't know why I've found that out, but it does. And I can actually, my peppers, if I need it to, can last almost 2 weeks. So what we're saying here is this depends on your mindset. If you believe that it is possible to live on $300 a month, you can. And by the way, you still get treats. All right, so Tyler's saying, speaking of impulse buying, that's why I need to stay away from Walmart, right? I always walk out with way more than I intended. I can remember once, Tyler, coming out of Walmart and my cart was full. I mean, really full. And I stood at the lineup and I said, I came in for, and I can't remember what it was, but it was literally 3 items. And I said, look at me. Yep. So this is possible to do. If you have a core belief that it's possible to eat on $300 a month, it is possible. Jody has proven it to be true. Do you understand? Now, some of you are going, wow, I don't want to give up everything. Well, this is about what is possible if you really want it to happen. So now let's say that your core belief is, I hate traveling. If your core belief is that you don't like traveling, do you think that you would go on vacation a lot? Beth is saying the question is, what drives my impulses? What drives my impulses is my child. I've got to say that, Beth. That is my belief. My child that wants instant gratifications. I want that, and I want it now. You're trying to learn Instagram, did you say, Nana? Who are you asking that of? You're telling somebody to PM you. Sorry, I need to stop the chat, everybody, because I want to make sure that we've got this right. Nana's trying to get some message through, and I want to make sure that we've got it right. Who do you want to PM you? Because you want to learn how to use Instagram? Okay. Can I suggest that you don't do it during the broadcast necessarily? Because that takes people's concentration away from the broadcast. But what you want is somebody, I can sure help you with that if you would like. What do you want to learn how to do? What do you want to learn how to do, Nana? Why don't you send me an email and tell me what it is you want to do, and I'll see what I can do to help you. Maybe, we'll get on to and do it manually together, okay? All right, so just send me an email and I'll send you the instructions. And now you're Googling it. Okay, so you don't want my help, is what I'm hearing. All right, so everybody, let's get on. Let's say that you've got a belief that you don't like to travel. If you don't like to travel, how many times do you think you would have been on vacation this year? Right? How many times do you think you would have gone on vacation if you don't like to travel? Do you think once, twice, whatever? You see, if your core belief is I don't like to travel, I don't think you're going to be doing a lot of it. And then, right, Nolene's saying she doesn't like it. She doesn't like flying. That doesn't mean that you can't travel. All right, can we not do any more with Nana? She said that she's Googling it. She knows what she's doing. She's totally dominating this chat at the moment. And she knows what she needs to do. Yeah, sure, it's okay. And she knows she can write to me if she gets stuck. So it's good. All right, so let's have a look at this. So if you know that you don't like to travel, then the chances are you probably are not going to go on many vacations. The question is, why don't you like to travel? But we'll talk about that. And so now the next thing is, do you have enough money to go on vacation if you don't like to travel? You see, I would like to suggest to you that if you have a core belief that I don't like to travel, then you never save any money for doing anything like traveling. So you never have the money to travel, and you say, oh, well, I don't have the money for it and I don't really like it anyway. It becomes the excuse that you use. The other thing is, do you enjoy meeting new people? If you don't like to travel, the chances are you don't like meeting new people or eating strange foods or doing whatever. Do you understand? It all gets linked in. All right, but your lack of money is your biggest problem, Nolene. But let me tell you something. I know people who have very little money, but you know something? They still manage to travel because that is what they love to do, right? They will, like Jody, really cut back on their grocery bills just so they can put $20 away to travel. every month or something. All right. So this is what I want you to understand. People who really want to do it, they will find a way to do it because that is their core belief. I love to travel, therefore I will do it. So remember what we said from right at the beginning. What you believe is true. If you believe you don't like traveling, you won't bother to save money for it. So how about success? Let's talk about success for a second. If your core belief is that you are unsuccessful, how would that have an effect on your life, do you think? If you at some level believe, well, actually, I'm not a success at all. My question is, if you have that as your core belief, will you take risks? Because I don't know anybody that's successful that doesn't, take some risks in their life. You see, will you accept a life without contribution? The interesting thing is most successful people I know give to others as much as they give to themselves in terms of time, not necessarily money. They don't have money to throw around, then they give of their time. I don't know if you've noticed that. Isabel's saying that she's going to Wildwood this summer, and she'll be there before her virtual mission. That's awesome. All right, because you want to go there. You've done what it's necessary to do to get there. I believe you, Isabel. I believe that is what you want to do because you will be doing it. So do you understand that if you believe that you are a success, the way that you take risks, the way you live a life with contribution. By the way, if you believe you're not a success, if that's your core belief, then do you understand you're normally quite jealous of people who've got it? So do you understand that you get jealous of other people's success if you believe at some level that you're not successful? However, if you believe that you are successful in your own way, you don't have jealousy. Yes, and two of people are coming up with the same thing, which is Jody is saying a lack of confidence in every area of life with a belief like that. I quite agree, Jody. When you have a lack of belief in yourself, or if you can't see how successful you have been just to wake up every morning and to make it through a day, then yes, your life will be full of very negative stuff. Nyasha's saying for most people, unsuccessfulness can cause a lot of loss of self-esteem. And I would agree with you. But you know what builds self-esteem is to see how great you are. I really mean that. Not to wake up in the morning and think about what I don't have, but wake up in the morning and see what you do. Aren't I lucky? I've got a roof over my head. There's so many people in the world that don't have that. Aren't I lucky? And I actually woke up today. There are an awful lot of people that won't do that. And as we were saying at the lunchtime broadcast, people who were highly successful, like Christopher Reeve as Superman, and then had that catastrophic accident that left him literally paralyzed from the neck down. And he adjusted. He changed his thinking and his belief system so that he could live a meaningful life. And how did he spend his life? He spent his life contributing to the better good of the world. I think that is amazing. Rick Hansen here in Canada, was paralyzed at the age of 15. I was talking about it at lunchtime as well. What he did with the rest of his life, the Man in Motion tour, everything, what he has done with his life is mind-blowing. So Beth saying, I want you to feel like a real person again. I felt dead. I got the courage to just go out and find a job and live. Good or bad, I am alive now. You remember, Beth, that dear friend of yours, for want of a better word, that said, why would anybody take on a job like that? I want you to know that you made the right decision for you. You see, that job was not a job for you. It was freedom. Taking that job for you was not a job for you. It was a way to meet people. You see, Beth, you wanted a new life and you made yourself one. I hope you are very proud of yourself. And now you're learning how to not let people manipulate you too much. And as you told us at lunchtime, you're also helping teach other people that. I think that's incredible. So now let's talk a little bit about education. Some of you have more education than others. And so if your core belief is that you're uneducated, how will that change your life? Do you think that if you lack education, that it will affect your life negatively? Do you think if you are uneducated, you will not have the earning potential of somebody who does have that education? You see, I want you to give some real thought about that, because if you feel that you are a less than person because you don't have the education, then you will prove yourself right. Do you understand what I'm saying? If that's what you believe, you will prove yourself to be right. But if, on the other hand, you say, hey, I might not have had the greatest education, but boy, I have the ability to learn so much. As some of you know, I never got to go to university. I do not consider myself an uneducated person, right? I have literally studied everything I wanted to study in my own time because it gives me pleasure, not because somebody said I had to study it. And, how many of you blame your lack of education on your parents? Well, really, if you are uneducated, it's because you choose to be. One of the things I always say about Yvonne, when I first met Yvonne, her education was limited to quite a degree. And the interesting thing that fascinated me is, boy, the best thing that ever happened to Yvonne was the smartphone. What she has taught herself with her smartphone and her computer and everything else blows me away. She has done so much learning of the things she wants to learn about. And, it is just, I listened to her today and I think, I can't believe that's the same person I met 20 years ago. Beth saying, oh, that reminds me, I'm going to take a public speaking class in the fall. Well done, Beth. Beth, I want to tell you something. I was actually asked to do a district conference for Toastmasters. And I did, when they booked me, I said, you do need to know that I've never, ever trained to be a speaker. And therefore, I need you to know I'm probably going to break every rule in your book that you teach people. And they said, yeah, we know that. That's why we want you to speak. And I said, okay. And so I went to the big district meeting of Toastmasters, and I gave this incredible speech. And I broke every rule in their book. And the person that booked me came up to thank me and said, Sal, the reason I wanted to make sure that you spoke to this audience is because they all think to be a great speaker, you need to follow all these rules. You see, to be a great speaker, Sal, you need to be able to do what you can do naturally. And I just looked at them and went, what did I do? And they said, you had everybody on the edge of their seats and you had everybody buying into your every word because you love what you do. And I said, yeah, I do. And they said, that's what I wanted to show them. And everybody, I got this huge standing ovation, having broken every rule that they give, Beth. Yes, you're scared to death. But you kind of like it because the fear makes you feel more alive. It's thrilling. You're going to learn a lot about people, Beth. Beth, take it not just as a lesson in public speaking, because you're going to learn a lot about people doing that. All right, so let's talk about a lack of education. I wanted to bring you some examples of uneducated people and their ability to earn money. First of all, did you know that Ryan Gosling, yep, Ryan Gosling, let me just see here. Let me just get that quote up for you. Dropped out of school when he was 17 and went to star in the Disney all-new Mickey Mouse Club. Do you think that he's made up for that? I forgot to write down what he's worth today, but I've got a feeling he's not regretting that decision. The next one, Cameron Diaz, actress, dropped out of high school to pursue a modeling career. She did that at 16. She soon went on to land her first acting gig and became one of Hollywood's best-known actresses. You see, what you believe is true. She believed that she could be a success without necessarily finishing school. Leonardo DiCaprio, the Oscar winner, dropped out of school after his junior year and started studying at a free local drama center instead. Did he make a bad decision, people? And the one that really surprised me, and I don't know why, but I went, really? Actually, I must admit, Leonardo DiCaprio surprised me because I always thought of him as, a very educated person, but apparently self-educated. Jennifer Lawrence, can you believe this, ended her formal education when she was 14 and dropped out of middle school. She said, I dropped out of middle school. I don't technically have a GED or a diploma. She explained during a 60 Minutes interview, I am self-educated. By the way, she is worth 130 million today. She did not let the fact she wasn't educated stop her. Oh, thank you, Jody. She didn't let the fact that she wasn't educated stop her from achieving her dreams. Right. So Nolene's saying she didn't finish high school, but she doesn't see herself as uneducated. That is exactly the point. All right. That what you do is different. And how about people who were homeless? Do you think that if you ended up not looking after your money or circumstances came about and you ended up homeless, you see, some people will remain homeless for the rest of their lives and some will say, no, this is not for me. And they will do whatever it takes to get out of being homeless. All right, Ryan Gosling is a pathetic 30 million. I mean, really, people, So I wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know this, that Jennifer Lopez shared that she was homeless a few months before she was booked in Living Color. Her net worth today is over 400 million. Patrick Dempsey of Grey's Anatomy dropped out of school at 17 and is now worth 60 million. And of course, probably not surprising, Johnny Depp dropped out of school when he was 15. He wanted to become a rock star. And apparently acting was his fallback plan. It wasn't what he wanted to do. And so even his second career, 200 million. You see, what you believe is true. They believed they were capable of more. And they believed that they could do it, and therefore they did. Now, my next one is, how about if you've got a core belief that you're too old, you probably don't want to hear about these people, but I want to share these with you. Morgan Freeman's first two major projects were a soap opera and a show on PBS. And he was in his 30s by the time he got those parts. Remember this, he was in his 30s and he got a couple of parts. He didn't make it big. However, Friedman has identified the 1987 movie Street Smart as his breakthrough role. That film was released when he was 50. And it landed him an Oscar nomination for the Best Supporting Actor. His net worth today is 200 million. Now, I'm sure you all love Betty White. And so I wanted to have a look and see what was going on. It's really interesting that Betty White, although she's had an incredibly long career, that she started acting in the 40s. But her earliest roles that most people remember her was in Mary Tyler Moore Show. For those of you who are old like me, you will remember her in those days. And that was in 1973 when she was already 51 years old. In other words, her career only took off when she was in her 50s. For those of you who adore Dame Judi Dench, the British actress, she did all sorts of comedies and stuff, and, I watched them, but no big sort of breakthrough, anything. And then in 1995, she rose to an entirely new level of fame when she played M in Goldeneye, the James Bond movie. She was 61 when that happened. And she went on to star in all the, another 5, I think, Bond movies. She won an award for the first time when she was 60, and her net worth today is 75 million. Now, I don't know if this is interesting any of you, but do you understand they didn't quit on what they wanted to do. They wanted to act, so they acted. Even if they didn't get the big breakthrough roles, and they probably thought they were never going to get the big breakthrough roles, but they just carried on doing what they loved. Does this make any sense to anybody? You see, they loved to act, so they carried on doing it. They didn't quit. They just carried on doing it. Julia Child, the incredible cook, her first cookbook was not published in 1961, by which time she was already 49. However, it wasn't until a few years later when she truly became a superstar. And she started actually hosting a cooking show called The French Chef. At that time, she was 51. The show ran for 10 years. And by the time of her death, she was worth 38 million. So the reason that I wanted to ask you these things is, do you understand what an incredible difference your mindset makes? All right, Beth is saying, I'm almost 50, just now creating my dreams of my own business and discovering who I really am. I may not be a millionaire, but my heart is golden. That's exactly the point I want to make, Beth. All right, people say to me, oh, you've been doing YouTube for 6 years and you're not making money at it. I said, it's not why I did it. I do YouTube because I love it. I love being able to take a complicated subject and hopefully put it into a framework that is understandable for people. I love to do that. I believe, a talent for doing that. So, I don't want to talk psychology gobbledygook. I want you to hear about people who change their thinking. What I want you to see is what we believe is true. All right. So if you believe that you're a loser, you will probably act like one, sound like one, and attract things like a loser does. If you believe that the world is against you and you do not have any power, Nana, I was thinking long and hard about your subject that you had in the broadcast this morning, and I have to tell you something. I would go to court and just demand to see my grandchildren. All right, I would take it to court. And, it's just like, excuse me, I have every right to talk to my grandchildren and to see them. And I'm certain the court would agree with you. So, there's certain things, but that's what I would do. So there are certain things where if you really want it badly enough, as people were saying, if you want it badly enough, it's amazing what you will do. Do any of you have any stories where, you really wanted something badly enough that you did whatever it took in your world to be able to achieve it? And, to me, it's like, it was a big shift for me when I stopped working and was then retired, because it really shifted my income greatly. But you will know that I didn't stop doing this, even though, intellectually it didn't make any sense because it was costing me money. It wasn't making me money. But the point was, it's what I love to do. So, I'll always find the way to do it. Does that make sense? If it's what you love, you will always find a way to do it. And so the same as all these actors and actresses that you've been hearing about, it wasn't that they thought they were going to be superstars. I'm sure they hoped that they would. But, the truth is that they all wanted to act and carried on doing it. Beth's saying, I missed your car ride vlogs when you retired. Yes, a lot of people have said that, Beth. And, I'm trying to sort of start getting back into that mindset of actually doing the everyday vlog. You understand, Beth, that it takes a lot of my time, and I almost have to sort of balance out where I spend the time. When I decided I had needed to cut back, I had to decide whether I was going to cut back on doing the broadcasts that don't require any editing and don't require, all sorts of stuff. Or do I stop doing the daily vlogs? And, the daily vlogs were taking me up to 4 hours a day, just so that you know, Beth. So it was easier for me to drop those It's not just the time that you spend talking in the car. It's like I've got to edit it and cut out the bits that are not relevant and so forth. So you love the food vlogs, really? I've never understand that, quite honestly, Beth. It amazes me people like my food vlogs. I will try and do more of those for you. However, I do have very good news for you. For all of you who heard me say, one day I will show you how to iron without an iron, I have done the vlog. And Jody is going to hound my you-know-what until I've got it edited and ready for you. I have put it down. I have put it down and it's ready to go. I just have to edit it and put it up for you. So it should, with enough nagging, should come up this week. And by the way, when you see it, this is one of the things I ironed without an iron. How creased is it? You should have seen it when I started. I purposely took this out of the wash and I crumpled it all up and let it dry like that so it would have a lot of creases so I could demonstrate for you. This was dry and totally creased. You'd love to know how to iron without an iron. I think most people would love to. Anyway, I've done that. I've done it for you. So it looks great, right? So what I want you to see is that you will always do the things you want to do. How many of you have noticed that? You will always have time to do the things you want to do. If you want to learn, I think about Nyasha often. Nyasha has a lot of limitations with health issues and so forth, but she has visual challenges as well. And yet she really loves to do stuff on the computer, right, Nyasha? She loves doing computer-generated graphics and so forth. Now, that is really interesting to me because Nyasha will tell me time and time again that she's slow in her thought process. How many of you know that to be able to do computer-generated pictures and so forth does not quite tell me that she's slow? All right? I know what it takes to do that, Nyasha. And Nyasha, have you seen my cartoon type videos that I put up every now and then? I did one for Jody's 50th. By the way, happy birthday, Jody. I meant to mention that this lunchtime and again at the start of this one. Just happy 50th to Jody. But I did a little graphic birthday card for her. Nyasha, I wondered whether you like that sort of thing. Because I want to tell you that those sort of things, if you've got that sort of mind, those sort of things are available for you to learn. And I want to remind everybody that it isn't easy to learn necessarily. It takes time and it takes effort. And it's not that I'm super smart. It's because I do it until I learn it. Nyasha's saying, Nyasha, you make me cry at times. No, I make myself cry when I think about you, Nyasha. Okay, Nyasha's saying, and for years I've been depressed over this because I hadn't realized that I was the one to teach myself instead of somebody teaching me. You see, Nyasha, that's when you come out of being a victim and come into being a success. You have worked that out now. And I want to tell you something that truly touches my heart, because it is pretty obvious to me that you wanted to do that, because otherwise you wouldn't have kept listening. All right. I always sort of say to myself that we are all together to take our own journey, whatever that is. Each of us is trying to learn something, otherwise you wouldn't be here. I'm constantly trying to find stuff that hopefully will help different people overcome different obstacles. And that's my challenge. Can I do that? Can I find the key that will help Nyasha take the next step? or, help Nana get to see the grandchildren or wherever, I might not be able to, but you know me well enough to know I will do what I can until that is possible. And so I look at it and go, Nolene, when I think about the challenges that you've had, right? But you want to do things differently. You don't like what life is bringing you. And so, you remember, how many of you remember that with Kim as well? Kimmy was having all sorts of drama in her life until I said to her, why don't you stop the drama? All right. And I remember her writing to me, and the thing is, the way you stop the drama is to start taking responsibility for your life, which is what Nyasha has realized. You don't wait for other people to teach you. You teach yourself, like Jennifer Lawrence did. Like, anybody that wants an education, today you have the ability to get it online. All right? You can teach yourself almost anything that you want to learn. And by the way, the incredible thing is there are so many programs available right now. And so to me, it is important that you know it's there. So what I hope that you understand is what has changed in Nyasha's life is not anything other than the fact she now has changed her core belief. When we first met Nyasha, her core belief was she couldn't do anything because they hadn't taught her. Remember those days, Nyasha? You were so busy blaming your parents for what you hadn't learned. And now you're going, I can learn whatever I like. You see, one makes you very depressed. The other is, yay. What do I really want to learn? For those of you who are into health and fitness, one of the things that my dietitian was talking to me about when I went to go and talk to them about the diet and everything, one of the things that she said was to bring your heart rate up for at least 10 minutes a day. And, some of you know that, if I don't feel like going out, I'll do arm rolls and things. But I found something really quite interesting. My resting heart rate at the moment is 69 beats per minute. Watch this, because you know me, I'm always trying to find out what does it for me, right? What can I do that will bring my heart rate up without actually going out? And here's what I found out. 73 now. Okay, watch this. I'm just going to shake my hands. I am, and my flare. I'm just going to shake my hands for a while, just to see how that works. Now, is this serious exercise? No. Do any of you think this is doing me any good? Actually, I got my quarter. No. And that's fine with me because my heart rate is now up to 76. And I will just keep doing this for a while and just shake my hands around and do stuff. You see, I really do believe that as long as my hands are moving, I am doing something good, like pumping 79. And I will keep doing it. Do you know how far I got it up to 200 today just doing that? Because what my dietitian said is you need a 10-minute span, of getting your heart rate up and keeping it up. And I wonder if I can do it by just shaking my hands. And the answer is yes. Now, how many of you are busy saying, but that's not proper exercise, Sal? I don't really care. You can dry your nail polish at the same time. Yeah, exactly. But do you understand how simple this is? Can somebody who is bedridden do this for 10 minutes a day and get their circulation going big time? I think so. But what people will say to me is, that won't work. Well, I got news for you. It's up to 99 now, and we're still working on it, right? And so this is the thing. I can actually talk and chew gum at the same time. All right. Nolene's saying her granddaughter will finish her first term break. She's going to spend the first week with her mother, and her mum's going to my sister's for a few days. Okay. And we're up to, it's over 100 because it's got a funny reading on it. So do you understand? This is not what you call high exercise. Once it gets over 100, it gives me a funny signal, but it'll work it out in a minute and I'll be able to tell you. Oh, still waiting. But it's just like, how is this possible, people? But do you understand that if my heart rate is now at 143, do you think that's pumping some blood? What do you think? So could you sit in the car at the traffic light and do this, and everybody will think you're a bit weird, but do you care because your heart rate just came up? And that's good for you. And, it's just like, think about this. 170. And what I did, Jody, was when I was doing earlier today, I really just kept doing about 10 and I'd stop. And then I do another 10 and I'd stop and I do another 10, and I'm doing it a little bit faster now because I want to get it over with. It didn't give me a reading that time. 188. So how many of you are going, that's insane, Sal? 191. And so what I'm saying to you is, how did I come up with this? 195. I did this because I wanted to know, how can I do this without going outside and exercising? 196. I'm going to go to 200 just for the hell of it. Bit of speed going now. How many of you are praying that I don't have a heart attack or something? That's your problem, not mine. 198. Okay, we can do this, people. 199. Where did I start? 68, Jody, was it? Hang on. Oh, it's dropping. Anyway, I got it up to 199. I'm earning my Frosty. You are so right, Jody. You see, it's about what can I do, not what can't I do. Does that make sense? I don't spend my life thinking, what can't I do? I spend my life going, what can I come up with that will push my heart rate up so that I know I've done the right thing? Now, the question is, how long does it take for it to get back down to 60? I think it was 68 when we started. It'll be interesting to see that, right? So do you understand? My core belief is I believe it's possible to do. Therefore, I will keep looking for ways to do it, that I can prove that it's possible to do. And I can feel it now. I can feel my circulation really going. So it must still be over 100 because it's got this funny thing. But, it's about a core belief, right? My core belief is that I am way healthier than I'm obese, but I'm pretty healthy. That's my belief. I may be diabetic, but I can still eat Frosties, right? As long as I do it in balance. That's the trick, to do everything in balance. All right. So I'm really careful. It's a bit like Jody managing her money. Jody manages her money so that she can eat within $300 a month. I'm noticing that the feed is looking a bit strange for me. I don't know if it's a bit strange on your side. I'm hoping not. But, I keep adjusting the things that I do so I can still fit in my Frosty. Jody says, you're the healthiest diabetic I've ever seen. So hang on a second. Let's see where we're at here. Oh, hang on a second. Run, stopwatch, relax. Okay, any minute now it's going to readjust itself and tell me what my heart rate is now. So I want to ask you, what is it you want to change this year? Because part of what you may want to start with is, I'd like to change my core belief. All right, so Niesh is saying, Mama Sal, I know this isn't relevant to the topic, but I bought some wool recently to do some knitting. But I have to tidy my closet first to make way for the additional items. No, you actually don't. Right, you're saying that you have to get rid of stuff so you can fit the knitting into your closet. Is that right? Or the things you're about to make? Let me make sure I understand you. But by the way, you don't have to do that before you knit. If you want to knit, go ahead and knit. And also clean the closet. Don't have the one on the other. Who told you that you have to clean the closet first? I have to. You don't have to do anything. You're an adult. You may choose to. Heart rate is down to 88 already. How many of you going, wow? 85. All right, so Nyasha's saying, so I cannot really learn something new. My mind cannot learn two things at once. Who told you that? I read two books at the same time. Nyasha, if you really wanted to, you could do two things. Somebody told you that. Somebody taught you that you cannot do two things at the same time. You cannot learn two things at once. Who taught you that? Okay, Nyasha, I want you to prove something to yourself. Do you want to do this with me? You don't think you can. That's your core belief. Okay. Are you ready for the 2x4, Nyasha? I want you to prove it to yourself that you can learn two things at the same time. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. If you would like me to. I want you to change that thinking. I want you to remember how smart you are, not that you're slow and you can't learn two things at the same time. Let me know if you'd like me to teach you how to do that. Hi, Jamie. How many of you are going, it's coming? All right. So Nyasha says, I notice I put more emphasis on the one and forgot the other. That's not because you can't do it. You liked one better than the other. It's not that you can't do two things at the same time. Can you see that, Nyasha? You're willing, yes. Okay, so here's the trick. What are the two things, so we can all sort of have that in our mind? What are the two things you're trying to teach yourself? Knitting is one, and what's the other one? This is wonderful that you're willing to do this, okay? Because I'm going to prove to you it's all in your mindset. It is not about that you can't do it. It's about your mindset. I want to tell you that I am teaching myself this all the time, Nyasha. I can do so many things in a day if I do it the way that works for me. And that's why I want to teach you. Okay, so you're knitting. And the thing that you did with the cartoon thing. Okay, so that one you'd have to have a program for. But, you know, you could still be looking into it. But the thing is this, what I would do to teach yourself, right? I would find anything with that digital drawing and something, all right, that you want to, let's say you want to learn another thing in the digital realm, right, in that idea thing, that you want to go and learn one more thing in that this week, but you also want to learn knitting this week. Okay, those are the two things. Agreed? Is there one day where you can have 2 hours to craft? I just want to know if that's possible. I'm going to show you that this is so possible, it's not even funny. Because you are a smart cookie. You just convinced yourself that you're not for some reason. And that can be over as quickly as we care to get that over with. Because I don't believe that's true of you at all. I think you're quite a smart cookie. You've just had too many people tell you that you're not. So do you think you can find a 2-hour block of time that is yours where people won't disturb you too much? Okay, so Niesha's saying, I know how to knit already. I taught myself by seeing someone do it. Okay, but the point is that you can walk and chew gum. Do you know that expression? Where you can actually do two things at the same time. So what I want you to do, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 hour segments or whether it's half hour or even quarter of an hour. I want you to take 15 minutes and knit. Put the knitting needles down, go to your computer and spend 15 minutes taking the next step on your computer learning with the digital artwork thing. Do you think you could do that? And then, if you've got more time, go back to the knitting, knit a bit more. I want you to prove to yourself that you can learn two things at the same time. You've got 1 week to do it. Do you think you can do it? By the way, if you can do it by Sunday, that would be awesome. You see, if you really wanted to learn how to do two things at the same time, you would just allocate time to them, Niesha. Equal time. This is making sense to everybody. Now, it's not that we all need to remember this. It's time management. I didn't even realize that. Yes, Niesha. Okay, so Niesha, let me tell you something that I actually don't really enjoy the downsizing and cleaning out closets and the stuff that I'm doing. But what I do is I have a time management thing, as you realize, every day, where I have 1 hour, and in that hour I do housework. I don't like doing housework, Niesha, but I have 1 hour that I go. All I have to ask myself is, in this 1 hour, what do I want to get accomplished? If I only did one thing in this 1 hour, what's the most important thing? Today, it was to clean my staircase. Okay? So it didn't matter what else didn't get done. The one thing I needed to do was clean the stairs. By the way, just a quick tip for those of you who like my quick tips. I actually do that with a mixture of water, vinegar. I put in some cinnamon and some vanilla. It goes to cover up the smell of the vinegar. And all I do is I take a face cloth and I spritz the carpet on the stairs and I just rub it with the cloth. And then I will go down a step, spritz it all, and then let it soak for a little bit, and then I will rub. You have no idea how much dirt came off the carpeting of my staircase. And it's like, does it take an hour? No, it probably only takes half an hour. But I gave myself, that was the one job I had to do today in terms of housework. Good. Jody's making a note to make sure that you try the experiment. You see, Nyasha, what I'm trying to explain to you is whatever you believe you can do as long as you know how to do it. Your problem is nobody has taught you how adults do it. All right, so here's what Nyasha's saying. Listen to this belief system. This is her core belief. I thought you had to spend a lot of time on a task, which will make you eventually forget the other. Right? No, Nyasha. You need to spend some time on each task and you will learn them both. Now, if you choose to spend more time on one than the other, then that's because that's your choice. It's not that you are stupid. It's not that you're slow. It's not that you can't do two things at the same time. If you want to do two things at the same time, you have to plan it. Does that make sense to you? Don't you ever believe that you can't learn something because you can only think one thing at a time. That is that is not. We were talking today, Nyasha. Do you know who Richard Branson is? You know, we were talking about all sorts of famous people who had learning disabilities or their minds didn't function properly. If you haven't listened to that while you're knitting, listen to it. Oh no, Let me tell you what multitasking is. Multitasking is when you're doing two things at the same time. All right, now, Nyasha, did you listen to the broadcast? Because I know you came in late at lunchtime. Did you listen to that broadcast yet? Because if you didn't, I'm going to teach you how to multitask. You can multitask. Yes, you can. Do you want to learn how? Okay, here's what you do. You remember I said it would be good for you to listen to today's broadcast, the one I did at lunchtime? I want you to pick, that's 2 hours long. So take a 2-hour segment in your life. You don't have to even do that, but take the 1-hour segment, turn on the video, and at the same time, I'd like you to knit. And by the way, it's okay if you stop the knitting every now and go, what did she just say? And, wind it back and listen to it again and go, that was interesting. Okay. And then knit, knit, knit. And then maybe you want to make a note to yourself. Gosh, that was good. I better make a note. Then you'll be triple tasking. Do you think you can do it? You think you cannot multitask because you didn't know what it was. I'm going to show you can triple task. I bet you that you can triple task. At night, I want to tell you something, Asha. It's the most incredible thing these days. If you could see me at nighttime sometimes, I've got my television on where I'm with the sound turned off so that I'm sort of keeping track of what's going on in the news because, it comes up in writing underneath. Okay. And at the same time, I might be getting ready to do a vlog, one of these broadcasts, which takes a lot of research, as you can all probably tell, takes a lot of research. And so I'm also doing a bit of research. But, Nyasha, at the same time, I'm playing an online game on my tablet. So I've got 3 different sorts of things going on at the same time. Now, how many of you are going, that's insane? I want to ask you something. How many of you realize that what I'm trying to do is to keep my mind working that much? Because what am I trying to stave off? What am I doing everything I know how to stop happening? Think about that. I truly believe that Nyasha is going to surprise herself this week. And by the way, Nyasha, your mind does seem to get stuck on one. Yes, so that's called discipline. Do you have a watch or something? Oh, have you got a? Do you have a phone? All right, I'm trying to work out what tools you've got. You've got a computer. You know that you can set an alarm on your computer to tell you. Do you know how to do that? You got a phone. Do you know how to set an alarm on your phone? Good. So start with a small amount of time, Nyasha, maybe 15 minutes. Okay? Get my video lined up, ready to roll. All right? Get it all ready so you just have to press the button so I start jabbering away at you. Get your knitting needles and everything ready. And then go, okay, Google, 15-minute alarm. All right? Do you know how to do that on Google where you can tell it to set an alarm? If not, you just literally type into Google 15-minute alarm and it will set it for you. It's amazing. I love technology. Maybe we can teach you 3 things today. All right. So, but literally try it, and literally listen to me talking and do your knitting. Now, it is human nature that you will start spending a little bit more time listening to me or a little bit more time concentrating on the knitting. But the thing is this, Nyasha, this isn't a race. This is about, can you do it? No, you don't. No, you don't have to have that, Nyasha. Have you got regular Google? Have you got regular Google on your computer? The browser. She's going to learn 3 things today. I just want to double check. Just waiting for. Well, what browser do you use, Nyasha? Hang on 1 second. Okay. All right. Can you go to another screen? Just open up another screen. Can you do that? You can do this on your phone or on your computer. Doesn't matter. How many of you can feel what this must be like for Nyasha? I'm hoping that you can see that we can help change Nyasha's mindset just by teaching her what she's always wanted to learn. And so, to me, this is what we do, right? Is we help one another take the next step. Can you imagine living a life where you thought you couldn't do? No problem, Nyasha. You let us know when you're ready, and I will show you how to do it. So just think about this, that if you imagine what it's like living a life thinking you're not capable. And the truth is, you're more than capable. You just don't know how to do it. Or you're just too scared to do it. Or you're just too whatever. All right, no problem, Nyasha. Let me know when you're back. So, and there's no rush, Nyasha. It's fine. If we have to do it another day, that's also fine. Don't worry. Don't stress out. So can you all see, though, that what your mind is telling you is either helping you or not? Jody, is it not true that when you got really sick, you thought you were going to die, you had cancer, and then you found out that they had stopped the cancer? Wonderful. And then you found out that you had lymphedema. And so, your body suddenly became twice the size that it was. And now, do you understand what happened to your mindset when that happened, right? Because your ego was so into your value being what you look like and the shape that you are or whatever. And then you had all the guilt and everything else that you put on yourself because Lionel decided that he loved you so much, he wanted to stay home and look after you because that's what you needed. And, I can imagine all the mindset stuff that was going on for you. And, I look at you today, and I don't look at you, but I talk to you enough to know that you are doing so many great things for you. All right. And I'm hoping that you can see it's making a difference in your life on every level. You see, you don't have to feel guilty about Lionel stopping to work to help you. He did that because he loves you. He did that because he wants to do that. Right? Do you understand? It was like he wanted to be there for you. That was his one thing he could give you. And it did mean that you had to change your lifestyle in certain ways because your income was affected. But the truth is, I am certain that he has learned a lot from doing that as well. So your mindset for both of you, needed to shift. Your mindset had to change from being, I am such a burden, I am such a useless person, to suddenly saying, hey, there's quite a bit I can still do. Not all of it, not as much as I would like. But Lionel knows that. All right, so Jody is saying, for those of you listening on the replay, the changes in the past year have been dramatic for the better. Do you feel happier, Jody? Do you have more fun deciding on what you're going to eat with your $300 a month? Do you find this a personal challenge now to make it as creative as possible within the framework of the money that you have? Because I seem to hear that. You're forever letting me know these incredible things that you've come up with that you want to try. And you're, writing your next grocery list for the new thing you want to try. And I'm going, isn't this wonderful? That she has that ability. She might not be able to cook anymore necessarily, but she can still research and do the work, of planning the meals or doing whatever. So Jody, one of the things I want you to see is the reason that you're feeling better about yourself is because you've changed your mindset from not what I can't do into what can I do? And let me do what I can to the best of my ability. By the way, I am certain a lot of people rolled their eyes when I said to you, you can help me on the virtual mission by just doing the arm rolls. Do you know that it was a sneaky little thing I did to you, Jody? All right, Jody's saying, very much happier, which is interesting considering I'm still disabled. That hasn't changed. No, your mentality has changed, Jody. The same thing, Jody, is you probably thought this was insane, that you wouldn't get any benefit from doing arm rolls. Yeah, right. Did it get your circulation going, Jody? And by the way, between the eating plan and the circulation going, has the lymphoderma receded at all? I think, Jody, your word for this is stealth. I thought long and hard about what can I get Jody up to. Now, I hate to say this, Jody, but I did know that you would do almost anything to support me if I asked you for it. I know that of you. And that is why I really did encourage you to support me on the virtual mission thing. Because I knew you would. And I knew you wouldn't just tell me that you wanted to do it. I knew that you would do it. Because you would want to support me that much. But I hope that you can see that what you did was support yourself. Happy 50th. It's amazing what you can do when you really want to. I think if I could give you one birthday present, it would be that one. It's amazing what you can do, Jody, even with all your disability. It's amazing what you can do when you want to. Yeah, listen to this, Jody saying, I wanted to support you in your walking mission. And now my legs are losing fluid. My circulation is better and my weight is dropping. So it was a little stealth, Jody. And I will admit that. But I really did know you well enough to know that if I needed your help, you'd give it to me in any possible way you could. I wanted to know, was it possible to get your circulation going? Because you kept, telling me you couldn't do exercise. You kept telling me you couldn't walk, you couldn't do this, that, and the other, and those were all true for you. And I'm going, how do I help her get a circulation going? And what I did, as I think I told you, Jody, I tested it first of all to see, would it work? Would doing the arm rolls actually increase the circulation? And then, of course, Jody, because you got a sense of humor, did I make it fun for you? And by the way, Jody, did we also talk a lot about doing, because I know you love to research, and I sent you off to go and research how many arm rolls you'd need to do to equal steps, and you did all the steps beautifully. I was so proud of you. But Isn't that beautiful? Jody says you make every day fun for me. You know, Jody, the only reason I make every day fun for you, is because you allow me to. You know that I actually have great joy when I can make you laugh, all right? You know, it's just like you deserve to laugh, honey, in my view. So anytime I can make you laugh or smile. But you know what I've noticed is you're going out of your way to find something to make me laugh, which is bonus, because I'm sure you're going, well, if that made me laugh, it'll probably make Sal laugh too. Am I correct in that? So every time you go looking for something to make me laugh, you know, every time you do something to make me laugh, you understand you're making yourself laugh. You're doing it for yourself. It's wonderful. All right. And Jody's saying, who's cutting onions in here? Yeah, I could ask the same, Jody. So the thing is, Jody, that you have incredible ability. Yeah, and Jody's saying 100%. I love to make you giggle. Yeah, I know you do, which is why I keep telling you succeeded. So, by the way, Jody is absolutely wonderful at sending little gifts. I think it's a gift, right? GIF, gifts to me and so forth. And it's just like, you know, yeah, going, oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that one. So it's the little things in life that make a difference, Jody. You know, can you believe that now you don't even have to do arm rolls? You can just sit there like this now while you're watching, you know, your favorite, you know, New Amsterdam. Yeah, and then Lionel's gonna go, "What the are you up to now?" And you go, "Sal just taught me a new exercise routine." And he's gonna laugh at you, and you're gonna go, "No, I watched her do it. She went from 68 heartbeats a minute up to 200 just doing this." Right? Whatever, right? And she's back up to 85, 86. No, okay, so you see, if we want it to be possible, it is possible. You know, if we really work at it. I seriously believe, and I'm sorry that Nyasha had to go away, but I don't believe in coincidences. But you know, you understand, I believe that Nyasha is capable of so much. And I also know that if one person believes in you, it can change your life. Tyler, I love, you know, the fact that you come in and that you're part of it. If there's one thing I could help you with this year, what is it you'd like to achieve? What is it your mindset has got you stuck on that you would like to shift? Let me know if you have something. And anybody else that's listening at the moment, or anybody that's watching on the replay, you know, feel free to write that in the comments below. What is it that you realize you're stuck on that you would like a shift of thinking? Because if there's any way we can help you do that, I hope that we're demonstrating that just by having a change of understanding, sometimes you can change your life completely. And that to me is when you realize that, you know, let me, I talk about this whole thing about downsizing and moving on to whatever it is is my next phase of my life. You know, I realized at one point I had to let go and let God. You've heard that expression. I realized I didn't have to stress out and try and get it all done within the next month because somebody wanted me to. It's like, it's going to take as long as it takes. Why don't you do it at the speed that works for you and let God work out, yeah, how that's going to all work out. And that when you're ready, the right place will appear, the one that, you know, you'll be quite happy in. And, you know, I'm really not that fussy. I'd like light and air and space to play around in, but you know, I know that I've got a, you know, I probably in 10 years' time I will want to downsize again. Do you understand that? It's just like, okay, fine. What is it I need to do? The most important thing, as I was saying at lunchtime, is I need to get rid of the day-to-day running costs of having a big house. I don't need a big house anymore. I want to have something that I can have completely paid off. And now I know what my monthly nut is, if you like. I want to know that I can afford this. It's within my price range. I want to be financially more responsible. And there are so many different ways I could have done that. And I've explored most of them. You know, I could get people in and rent out rooms in my house. I could, you know, go back to work and all these things. But you see, when I really got down to it, I didn't want to do those things. I just wanted to be able to paint again. It's funny, isn't it? It's what I'm looking forward to. I really have done so little painting. I just wanted to have the time to know that I was not wasting money and that I was not wasting my time. It was okay. I could now paint for the rest of my life if I wanted to. Does that make sense to anybody? And even if I never sell one, it's just because I love to do it. That would be really awesome. So to me, do you think that for as long as I can breathe and as long as I have an internet connection, I will continue to help people? Yes, you bet I will. Because it's what I love to do. Remember the actors, right? They were in their 50s before they got their break. They acted all that time. Little bit parts here and there, probably eating baked beans on toast for most of their life. And now they're millionaires. Yes, Jody, that is exactly how I feel. 100%. My life now is my own. Suddenly, I'm working on my schedule. The same way, Jody, as people say, well, I'll make you an appointment. How about 10? And I go, is that in the morning? And they go, yeah, we don't work at night. And I go, oh, I don't do mornings. And they go, what? I said, I don't do mornings. And they go, what do you mean you don't do mornings? I chose not to do mornings. My natural sleep pattern, it has me go to sleep at about 3:00 in the morning, in the early morning, 2 to 3, and I wake up around 10. So I don't do mornings. Give the 10:00 appointment to people who work for a living. I spent my lifetime getting up early to go to work. I don't do it anymore. It's because I don't have to, Jody. That's my choice, right? And so for the rest of you, you understand that's freedom to be able to say, I don't do mornings. Now, if there's a really important thing, do you like when I go to help Benji or something, can I get up at 6:00 in the morning? Not easily, but I can do it. Do I want to? No. But if Benji needs me to help him, will I do it? Absolutely. Right? Do you understand? It's like my choice is not to do it. So, do you understand what a core belief is? It's the thing that you've been telling yourself. Nyasha had a core belief that she could not do two things at the same time. She had another core belief that it's because she is slow. She also had another core belief that she couldn't multitask, but the truth was she didn't know what it was. What is nor do I, Jody? I'm sorry, I missed the connection there. Right. Nolene's saying she's gone back to doing mornings. Right. You see, that's a choice. No, you don't do mornings. Okay, fine. Yeah. So, but you see, Nolene has taught herself to go back. I know that if I want to go back to doing mornings, I just got to rearrange my day and literally go to bed earlier. Now, Jody will be, some of you who are regular viewers will know that I've been doing experiments on sleep. The first thing is I try to increase the number of hours of sleep that I do because I believe I have the ability to change that. And so the first thing was to get knowledge. The knowledge was how many hours do I sleep a night? And then it was a case of, okay, can I get it to, I wanted to get to 7 hours sleep a night. That was my goal. And Jody will tell you that it took me nearly a year to get that one under control. When I got to 7, this is like, do any of you know Maslow theorem of exponential growth? But Maslow said that when you reach a goal, what will happen is you're going to start another one, and you start sort of at the bottom line a bit. And as soon as I got the 7 hours, I don't know if you noticed that, Jody. As soon as I actually achieved that goal, I set a new one. And the new one was, well, I'd like to increase my deep sleep now. And you see, what that created was that I needed to do some research into what was deep sleep, why was it important, and what creates it. right? So that's more learning, using the brain, right? Why do I want to keep using the brain? I don't want to get Alzheimer's and dementia and all that run. So I'm going to keep challenging my brain. And so what I went is I started, and by the way, Jody, being Jody, she went and did some of the research for me as well. But the main thing is we were both using brains and getting things organized about deep sleep. And then I tried different ways of doing it because they said, meditative music helps or whatever. And I tried that and that wasn't too bad. But I found out that listening to piano music actually helps my deep sleep. Jody, you're a witness to this. If I don't put on piano music at night, I sleep about half an hour of deep sleep, regardless of how long the sleep span is. If I put the piano music on, I double it. Why? I have no idea. Do I care? No. Jody is saying you're always looking to better yourself. I admire that. Yeah. And she's saying it's amazing. The difference is undeniable. Yes. So, and, I literally, because Jody is walking this journey with me to such a large degree, I will literally every morning, right, Jody, I will tell her that good morning and I will report on my sleep. Why do I do that every day? I don't have to do that. And how boring must that be for Jody? But the thing is, the reason I do it is I want to be accountable. I want to not let go of that goal. Does that make sense, Jody? You are my manager on this one, right? I have to report in every day. So this to me is part of how I train myself. So that's why it's really important for Nyasha to be able to come in and let us know her success. And Jody's saying it's not a bit boring. Support is what we do, right? So I just want you all to think about that. Tyler, I don't think you came back with an answer to my question. Did you just ignore me with the contempt I deserve? Let me see what happened here. The last thing I saw from Tyler was onions. Maybe he disappeared before I asked the question. All right, so the truth is that you can change your core belief if you want to. A lot of you have changed your core belief just by coming and listening to the broadcast every week. All right, so now they're saying, Nolene's saying this, they're now saying that having at least 2 eggs a week helps you not get dementia. Now, I wonder if that survey was promoted by the Egg Marketing Board or something. All right, so Nolene, I believe you, but most people do have at least 2 eggs a week anyway. But I remember, the whole thing that, they started to say terrible things about butter because the margarine people wanted people to not have butter anymore. So they actually, paid for surveys to say that butter was bad for you. And everybody moved off butter and started having margarine. And then after a while, guess what? The butter people said, well, we know how to fix that. And they just, paid for a whole lot of surveys to be done that showed that butter was better for you than margarine. So whenever I read these sort of things, Nolene, I sort of smile a bit. How many of you have noticed that there was a big thing about drinking apple cider? Yeah, what a great marketing tool. I bet you that the sale of celery has gone up dramatically since this new celery drinking thing has come into play. Yes, Jody's saying coffee too. 1 week it's the devil, and the next week it'll help you live longer. Right? So, Nolene, I always smile where I go. I wonder what the next one is that they're going to do. So, how many times did we hear that eggs were so bad for you, right? They cause cholesterol and this, that, and the other. Oh, well done, Nyasha, you're back. Where were you when we left off? All right, so you're going to set a timer. You wanted to know how to do that. Can you just click on your browser and bring up a new screen? And then type into your browser 15-minute timer. Okay, let me just make sure that you can hear me correctly because I know I speak quickly. Just type 15-minute timer into your browser. Now, I've done it on mine, and I did it when I first started to talk to you about it. And did it come up with a timer for you? And by the way, is there anybody else that hasn't found this out yet, that you can do this with Google? You can actually just tell it. If you see on the side of the browser, it has that little microphone. If you click on that and go 15-minute timer, it'll set a 15-minute timer for you. It's just like, you don't have to buy the fancy machine. Okay, after saying you had to stay close to a bathroom after drinking the celery mix, I've been scared to try it. It wasn't that dramatic for me at all. It really wasn't that dramatic. That's what I had been told, but my reality wasn't that bad at all. And by the way, it did make a difference. And I, in fact, have it right here. Nolene, I don't like the look of celery, that green gluck stuff. I don't like the look of it. So I put it into a jar with orange and carrot, and I also throw in ice cubes, and I just sip on it all day long. Niesh is going, I didn't know this. So what will happen? Will it beep? Well, you're going to find out. Did it give you the timer, Nyasha? Benji hates this mug. Hate is a strong word. I always have things with my name on it. This one actually hasn't got my name on it, but it really drives him insane. Why do you have your name on everything? So I know it'll come back to me. It's counting down. Nyasha did it. Give her a hand, everybody. Did you learn something new today, Nyasha? So now you can set your timer and then switch the screen and put Sal on and start knitting. First of all, check what it does after 15 minutes. I'm very proud of you, Nyasha, really. Yeah, and so is Jody. Well done. And the other thing was, I was busy playing my game online today, in between, and I said, oh gosh, I'm having a real trouble with my tablet. Let me go and get a teaspoon. And somebody said to me, why do you want a teaspoon? I said, because I don't know if you guys know that, but the back of a teaspoon, make sure it's not sharp. The back of a teaspoon is great for using it on a phone or on a tablet. Did you know that, Nyasha? Just in case you didn't know that as well. So if ever, you're sort of having a problem, a spoon, just use it like a stylus. Try it. Make sure it doesn't scratch your screen. Right, I have these have got very nice rounded edges. They're not sharp. So the way you find out whether it gives an alarm at the end of the timer, Nyasha, is you try it, all right, what you're doing. And at the end of 15 minutes, it's either going to beep or it isn't. I don't know what yours is going to do. Mine stopped, but I don't think I had. Right, so you've got all sorts of timers that you can choose, and you can have ones that will ring bells at you and do all sorts of things. 11 minutes and some seconds now, yeah, see? So you are now a multitasker. You can not only watch Sal, but you can change screens and set a timer at the same time while you're listening to Mama Sal. I'm using my laptop too, honey. So Nyasha, do you understand? You're already multitasked. Were you a little bit scared to open up another screen in case you lost me? Because you see, that's a risk. And you see, that's the whole thing, which is You can do so many different things at the same time if you really want to. All right? And it's a case of how much of your mind do you want to set to it? You're using both your phone and your laptop, so you're multitasking. Yeah, sure. All right? You're doing one thing on the laptop and you're doing something else on the phone. Well done. You've learned how to multitask. That's what it's all about. You see, you can do things that you didn't think you could do. You just didn't know how to do them. Everything's easy to do once you know how to do them, Niasha. And I think a lot of your problem in life has been that you just didn't learn how to do it. And so part of the thing now is to teach you how to teach yourself. What things to type into Google. Google will teach you almost anything you want to know today. It is the most incredible learning tool. It is the biggest search engine in the world. So it can tell you the answer to almost anything. And so I would say to you that aren't you lucky? Aren't you lucky that you found this out? Aren't you lucky that you live in 2019 and not in 1919? Because the people way back then didn't have that ability. So, I look at it and go, gosh, so many of us, I can do this, but I don't know the 15 minutes on each task idea. All right. So, okay. So you understand how to set the timer. Check. Okay. Now then, what I want you to do is when you're ready to do the experiment, you've got a whole week to play with this. What I want you to do is to get one of my videos or any video you like tuned up onto your computer, your laptop, and press the start button and let it start going. And then pick up your knitting needles and just knit away, looking at a bit here and listening a bit there. You can stop knitting a little bit and then, look again there and then knit a bit here and prove to yourself that you can do two things at the same time. Now, will you have 100% concentration on either of them? No. But what you will be doing is to teach your mind to work better. Does this make any sense to you, Nyasha? That you will be training your mind to think differently. Because you've always believed that you couldn't do more than one thing. I want to show you that you can. Right? Now, I'm not saying that it won't be difficult in some ways. And I want you to be aware of what happens. And that's what you're going to tell us next week or Sunday, whenever we next see you. What actually happened? Did you find that you got more interested in what was being said and had to really work at going back to knitting, and to be aware? That's all. This is what learning is about. It's not doing it perfectly. I just want you to learn that you can do two things at the same time if you want to. Your mind needs training. Yes. And I'm trying to make sure my mind doesn't stop thinking so that I can continue to help you with things like this, Nyasha. All right? That's why I multitask. By the way, the time management thing is really important. It keeps me on track. I have this amount of time every day where I do housework. Then it's done for the day, right? And then I do this amount of time to do downsizing, and then it's done for the day. Do you understand? And that's what I'm teaching myself. I don't have to rush and do everything. I just need to spend this amount of time on each of my tasks. And I find that keeps me very relaxed and very calm. Right? And it's like, okay, I've done that. By the way, Nyasha, if I've allocated an hour and it only takes me 15 minutes, I get to play for the next 45. Now, normally I don't play for more than half an hour. But, it's just like if I really wanted to. But when it gets to the hour again, now I've got to get up and do the next task. So, it's just like, this is possible to do. It's called time management. So we're very excited for you, Nyasha, and we look forward to hearing how this works for you. All right, everybody. So I'm hoping that you get some idea that by this time next week, Nyasha will have a different core belief about her ability to do two things at the same time. Can all of you see that? All she needed was somebody to be able to show her that that's possible. For her, she believed other people could do it, but she didn't believe that she could because somewhere, somehow, somebody had told her that. She can now see that her mind just needs training. All right, and she's saying, yes, I always knew the word, but like I said, I never knew how it's done. Well, now you know, and now you're going to prove that you can do it. And then you're going to feel very different about things. You're going, wow. By the way, you're going to find out that, that people multitask all the time. One of the things when Manon came to visit, I didn't realize that I had a complete time management thing about doing the broadcast. If it's this time, I need to get the computer ready. If it's this time, I need to make sure that I got my coffee brewing. If it's this time, my makeup has to be finished. I've got this whole routine that I do in the last hour before a broadcast. If it's 35 minutes to somewhere in there, I need to put up the the warning that I'm about to broadcast. But, an hour before that, I need to make sure I've got everything ready to put that up. And you see, so to me, Nyasha, what I've learned is a routine that works. I can sort of be doing all sorts of different things, but they're all leading me so that when that clock goes to 7 o'clock or whatever time I'm broadcasting, I'm ready to go. And that is the whole thing, Nyasha. Two things were missing in your life. One was you didn't have anybody to teach you. And secondly, you didn't have the support to encourage you. And now you've got both. And, we're going to be really fascinated to see how you grow. And by the way, just so that you know, that everybody in here has had that problem, including me. All right? That's how we learn things, you see. And when we get people who believe in us, and when we have people that support us, we can do so much more. You want to know, Nyasha, how much Jody has helped me and taught me about being diabetic. And it made my whole diabetes journey so much easier just because I had somebody I trusted that could give me the information at the speed at which I wanted it. Right? And she also knew that I would research stuff, and if I couldn't find what I was looking for on the research, I'd be back going, okay, fine, this didn't make any sense to me. By the way, Nyasha, just so you know, I had a real problem with the machine that I have to prick my finger and check my blood readings, the blood glucose reading. And Jody, I had 3 tests in a row that didn't work. And now automatically I'm going, is this a machine error or is it user error? So then I got hold of Yvonne, who knows all about these things. And I went, Yvonne, have you ever had it where 3 strips in a row didn't work? Is it possible that they're stale or whatever? And she said, nope. I said, okay, then it's user error. And she actually said, phone the manufacturer, they will help you with that. And I'm going, no, I'm pretty sure, to myself, I'm going, now I'm going to, first of all, make sure it's not user error. And so what I did is I went back and started from the beginning and really concentrated on what I was doing, Nyasha, because I was obviously doing something wrong. That was my theory. And what I realized, and this will make sense to anybody who's done a blood glucose thing, is the little strip you put it into the machine, I wasn't pushing it in far enough. And that's what was causing the bad reading, because it wasn't pressed in far enough to do the reading. So it's just like everything's easy to do, Nyasha, once you know how to do it. You now know how to set a timer on your computer. It's going to be easy. Next time, you'll go, oh, I need a timer. I got one on the computer. I don't have to set my alarm clock. I've got a huge big one on my laptop. By the way, you can get all different ones that count down in different ways, Nyasha. You can make it very creative. And you can have them on your phone too, right? So you've probably found that. So, this is all about, you just needed to know how. And we are all on that journey. The way that we change our core beliefs is we get honest with what it is we want to achieve. Now it's down to seconds. We're going to find out if it's going to, I'll stay. I'm not going to close the broadcast until you tell me, did it beep at you or did it just go to zero? Did it send you an alarm or did it just, this is going to be, how many of you going, the suspense, dum 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 dum. We're going to find out very soon, any minute now. So I am hoping, while we're waiting for Nyasha to let us know what it did, I am hoping that these two broadcasts make some more sense about our core beliefs. You see, it's not just if you believe, does somebody else believe your core belief? Because one of the things that you will have noticed that it's not only that sometimes you need to believe it, but you need somebody else to support you in believing it. True? Jody, I honestly believe there had to be a way to help you with the lymphedema. There had to be a way. I didn't know what it was, but there had to be a way. And you know me well enough, Jody, that in the background, I've been doing, a lot of research and finding out, what helps lower lymphedema. All right. So Nyasha said, something, Nyasha? I don't think it does because I don't think mine gave me a notification either. But you can take a different timer and it'll make noise or whatever. You can choose. I've got a timer on my. What sort of phone do you have, Nyasha? Because I've got one timer on my phone that will send me an alarm after it's done it. And quite honestly, my Google one, if I normally sends me an alarm. Right. So yes, Jody, you're right. Jody says Sal will find a way if anyone can. Yeah. And so that's all I wanted to know, Jody. Was there a way to help somebody, with lymphedema? Because what I heard was you were doing these compression things and everything else, but it wasn't really helping you that much. And I'm going, is there a way to speed that up? I don't know. Let's try. And so my logic also said if we could increase the circulation, it must help move the fluid. Yeah, intellectually that made sense to me. But then, you can't exercise, so now what? And then go, okay, fine, so I've got to find a different way. And I just kept playing, me, I'm a Mrs. MacGyver is what you call me. And I kept trying things to find out what would seriously increase the blood flow, the heart rate, without being able to use anything more than my arms. All right, so Nyasha, you can get free alarm clocks. I just need you to know you can get alarms and all sorts of apps for free. You don't have to buy them. But if you've got one that you did buy, then yes, use it. All right, set the alarm. That's time management. I am allowed to knit for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to go and clean up my room for 10 minutes, whatever it is, just set yourself. That's called time management. That's how you get a lot of things done in the day. You don't just get carried away just doing the one thing. Does that make sense to you, Nyasha? We'd all much rather play games all day long, than do housework or do whatever. And the way that most of us get all those things done is we control our time. We only have 24 hours in any day, and we need to control our time a little better. Yeah, you didn't buy it, you downloaded it. There you go. I was going, why would anybody buy an alarm clock? When you can have wait on your phone and you can get it for free. All right, good. So, Nyasha, there's going to be a whole new you coming out any minute now. We can wait. We look forward to hearing how it went. But do you understand, Yasha? This is not about an exam. This is not about were you able to do it for 3 hours. This is just try doing it for 10 minutes each, and just to see if you can do both things. If you find that you can, try it for half an hour. Okay, Isabel, I hope this has helped you a little bit. Everybody, a big hug from me. I hope that these two broadcasts together will make you see that this whole thing is about how we get to be happier. We get to be happier when we change our core belief, when we can see that we control our happiness, not the people out there, not everything else. We control our happiness by the way in which we think. If we think we are a victim to the world, if the world is doing it to us, we will not be happy people. If we can prove to ourselves, as Nyasha is now doing, that we can control our time. Can't do it tomorrow, though. It doesn't matter when you can do it. You've got a week, Nyasha. You're not going to fail this one. Just will you make the time to do it in the week is what we're trying to find out. Because you have to make the time to do it. All right. Nolene, good to see you. Big hugs. Everybody, look after one another, but most of all, please, please, please look after yourself. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, watch your core beliefs and keep correcting them. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thanks for being here and bye-bye for now.